Okay, this video will be quite personal now, and I'm sure not everyone agrees with what I'm going to say in this video. But I moved to Sweden, more precisely to Stockholm 5 weeks ago, and I just want to document my journey and my thoughts here on this YouTube channel. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about why I think I could be happier in Sweden than anywhere else. So my name is Julie, and I want to give you a little bit of background where I'm coming from, where I have lived, so you know where this video is coming from. So I was born in Germany, in East Germany actually, and I lived in Germany until I was about 22 years old. Then I moved to Vienna, Austria to study there. I studied theater, film and media, and when I finished my master's, I moved to London. I think that was in 2011. I started working in London, but shortly after, maybe 1.5 years, 2 years in London, I actually moved to Singapore and I lived there and worked there for about a year. And then I came back to London. And if you followed my journey, you know that I moved to Stockholm, Sweden 5 weeks ago. So all the reasons I'm going to mention now why I think I could be happier in Sweden than anywhere else. I mean, there are some other countries where you can find it, but I would say the combination of all the things I mentioned make Sweden so attractive to me. So here comes reason number 1. I'm a fan of the Nordic lifestyle. Of course, the Nordic lifestyle doesn't only live in, the Nordic countries, but I think it's really cool if you're surrounded by it. It feels like you don't have to put a lot of effort to actually adopt that lifestyle. You can just easily absorb yourself in it. So what do I see under Nordic lifestyle? I would first of all say minimalism. Especially when we moved from London to Stockholm, I just thought how much stuff we had, and I sold a lot, I gave away a lot, and I even threw away quite a bit as well. And we still have a lot of stuff, so I'm definitely not a minimalist, but I like the idea of it. And I really want to follow it a little bit and be conscious about what we have. I actually follow a Swedish YouTuber called Benita Larsen. She talks a lot about minimalism and I just love it. Another part of the Nordic lifestyle I would also say has to do with sustainability. Renewable energy, recycling, cycling, climate change like Greta Thunberg. I hope I said that right. I actually don't know how to say her name. There are other countries who are doing really well with that as well. For example, Germany. But yeah, it feels good to at least live in one of those countries who respect sustainability and put it in the front of their mind. And then there is design, the Nordic design, it's comfortable, practical furniture. Minimalism is also kind of in the design. And then cooler colors like gray and blacks and white. I mean, I'm all a fan of that. And yeah, of course, I call it Nordic style. So obviously Sweden is not the only country where this is present. And what I also count to the Nordic lifestyle is kind of taking time and taking care of yourself. For example, hygge. Yes, I know it's not Swedish, it's Danish, Norwegian, but again, Nordic lifestyle. So just making sure you know how to relax and to switch off. I love this coziness. But also fika, which I definitely haven't done enough. But yeah, just meeting up with a friend, and having a coffee and some pastries and just talk about the world, have a proper catch up. I love that idea too. And another reason is the work-life balance. I have read about and heard so much about it. I mean, I still work for a UK company and I have to say it's not that bad. It's quite a good work-life balance so far as well there. Touch wood. But yeah, basically I work remotely for them, so I don't have to take transportation. That always feels like I have a little bit of more time. But yeah, I'm also talking about the culture. I'm a strong believer that you can be super efficient in a certain amount of time. I mean, I am from Germany, we love efficiency. But yeah, it doesn't basically mean that you have to work long hours to make sure you deliver great work. Yeah, so for me, it's not about the hours you put in, it's what you can do how you can utilize those hours you actually work on a project. But yeah, it's not only about me, it's also about my partner who actually works for a Swedish company. Well, the overall goal is that he really has a good schedule so that he just leaves in the morning and doesn't come back too late in the evening. At the moment, it doesn't look that great, but I have the feeling it's a bit of a habit he created when he was in the UK. And also, you know, you kind of want to be polite and not just go home when someone talks to you in the evening. But let's see if he watches this video. But yeah, I'm also curious to hear from you guys if you are actually from Sweden. Do you think you have actually a good work-life balance? Like I assume it is. Obviously, I'm not talking from experience yet. This is more what I hear from others, you know, what I have read, but it would be also good to know if it is true from you. So leave a comment down below. But yeah, a little bit random, but you know, Stockholm actually is also a little bit of a tech hub. And when things are back to normal, I'm actually really excited to go to events, you know, around technology and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that's very personal. I actually love doing that in London. So London is a really good place to do that, to go to events and to meet people and, you know, to just exchange ideas and hear what's going on. And then what I also love in Sweden is like the space here and the outdoors. Again, you have that in other countries as well. For example, Canada, you know, I heard that some Canadians would actually compare Sweden with Canada based on the landscape, for example. But again, when you combine all the things I mentioned here in this video, it makes Sweden quite unique, at least to me. So yeah, I feel that I might have lived in London for too long because space is very important to me and I feel London is just not delivering. It's quite cramped most of the time, you know, all the houses are quite next to each other and you really have to drive outside of London to experience really nice nature. So yeah, if you get out of London, there might be a little bit more space, although I do have to say the streets are still quite narrow. When I was driving on the streets, I felt a little bit scared, you know, because there was not much space on the road. Not to mention that driving on the other side just feels weird. So yeah, for me, even Stockholm doesn't seem so cramped. Of course, people from the countryside in Sweden probably say Stockholm is definitely more cramped because in the countryside, you know, you have a house here and then 5 minutes later you have another house. It's no comparison, I definitely know that, but for me at least it doesn't feel cramped and it's really a step up. And yeah, what I actually heard about Swedish people as well is that they do exercise a lot, you know, or joining sports clubs. So I hope Sweden can actually really teach me something because I don't regularly exercise and I really want to do it. And I also haven't joined a sports club in like, I don't know, since I was probably 15. So I really want to give it a go, and obviously I could also meet some new people, so that's another reason for me to do that. The whole exercising culture is something Sweden do particularly, and I really want to figure out why and how and all that kind of jazz. Then there's obviously also childcare and education. So it's not only about my own happiness. I'm most happy when my partner is happy and when my daughter is happy. And when I looked into what is actually offered here for especially my child, then that makes me quite excited as well. So I watched this Swedish girl documenting her day at school. Probably helped that she was very positive about her school. She really liked to go to school. Yeah, and what I saw there was like there's free lunch. You actually get that from kindergarten until you really finish high school, which I think is great. I definitely didn't have that. And then you also got some free equipment like tablets and laptops. And that is pretty cool. Well, again, I went to school a long time ago, but I haven't really heard that this is very common in other countries. I actually did a research through my work about the German educational system and it was connected to technology to see what's actually at school. And there wasn't really a big progress from probably when I went to school. So yeah, it seems that Sweden looks so much better. And yeah, in the UK, there were a few things I wasn't a super fan. You know, you actually start school with 4, which I think is quite early. Because if you think about it, you have to sit in front of a teacher. There might be a little bit of play involved, but a lot of sitting as well. Then in the UK, you also have uniforms, which I'm not a fan of. I always get into a fight with my partner because he grew up in the UK and he thinks it's a really good idea. You can think for yourself if you like it or not, but I'm not going to start a debate right now. And then there's also a huge system of private and public school and better schools, That's something I definitely didn't have in Germany, where you had to be worried which school you are going to. It's much more present in the UK. And then of course, further, when you go to university, it's similar to the US, you pay a lot of money for your education. And yeah, I also heard that university is free in Sweden, which I think is brilliant, and you even get paid for going to university. So that might not be much, but I think free is already good enough for me. And then again, with universities, it's not so much like in America or even in the UK, where there are the best universities, and if you don't go to them, your education is not as much worse, and all that kind of mindset, which I definitely lack because it's not very present in Germany, and I don't think that will be the case in Sweden either. So I'm sure not everything is super great here in the school system and with university, but if you really compare it with other countries, I think the Swedish school system looks really good. And I'm personally quite happy to send my kid here to school and also to university. And then I also want to talk a little bit about well-being. I just like it when there's also a focus on the individual. The first thing I noticed was when my partner joined his Swedish company, he got basically like an allowance, and he could use that for, I don't know, either a gym or some spa experiences or massages or something like that. Something he can actually use on himself and make sure his well-being is taken care of. Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's something really small, and maybe it's not a big deal for a company, but I think it makes a little bit of a difference in an individual if you have the feeling your company is actually thinking about your well-being, and not only that you have to contribute so the company makes money. So yeah, there are some benefits, especially when you join a Swedish company. And then there are also benefits as a parent. I'm actually a fan of parental leave for the father. In the UK, my partner had 2 weeks of parental leave, and that was about it. That was definitely a very short time. And then also the healthcare system seems pretty good. Again, if you compare it to other countries, I do want to make another video about it at some point, but I want to be here for a little bit longer than 5 weeks, because at the moment I haven't really experienced any of the healthcare system. So let's see if I need it in the next, I don't know, half a year or a year, and then I will make a video about it, because I know that someone actually asked me in the comments if I can talk about this a little bit more. And yeah, then there are holidays. My partner actually gets 30 days of holidays. That is pretty good. I know that Germany is quite high in giving holidays as well. And then yeah, I think they have something which again is also quite similar to Germany. I'm familiar with it, that you can get a day off between a bank holiday and the weekend, just on top of, the bank holiday, which I think is really cool and it's just fair, right? And yeah, what I heard or see now as well is that July and August, a lot of Swedish people are on holiday, going somewhere. I have to say, I don't know when the last time was I had a proper holiday. Obviously, that was mainly due to Corona. The whole world was not at its best. But yeah, I hope I will get into that holiday groove a little bit as well and take some longer periods of time off in the summer months. Not going to happen this year, but maybe next year. And yeah, something I also wanted to mention is that there's low pollution. Again, I come from London. So for me, I feel the air is just purer, I'm still in Stockholm, a city, so it might be even better in the countryside. But I'm quite happy also to live here right now. And as I mentioned in one of my other videos, we are going to move out a little bit further out of Stockholm. So for me, it probably will feel like countryside, to be honest. And yeah, I mentioned that already in my other videos, but I'm such a fan of so much water around here, so many lakes, then the sea, so many islands. I think that's very special to me, you know, I haven't lived anywhere close to that. So yeah, that's also why I think I could be happier in Sweden than anywhere else. But you know, believe it or not, I actually also like the idea to be quite close to a city where you really have everything. You know, you can go to the theater, you can go to cinema, you can go to restaurants and cafes and all that kind of jazz, but you can also live a little bit outside and it feels like countryside, and you kind of have the best of both worlds. And if I ever have the feeling, you know, the city's getting too much, then there's always the opportunity to just move out further in the countryside and experience Sweden from another side. So I'm curious what you thought about all the reasons why I think I could be happier in Sweden than anywhere else. If you have any thoughts you want to share with me, leave a comment down below. See you in my next video. Have a great day and stay safe. Bye. Or hey do.